Good afternoon. Welcome to our Residents Association meeting. We probably all have memorized the fire code by now, but I'm asked to read it anyway. In the event a fire alarm sounds, please remain in the auditorium and stay seated. Should there be a need to evacuate, a Springmore staff member will direct you on how to leave in an orderly fashion. Please remember not to use the elevators and go to either the red pole or when you get outside. So glad that you are all here, and glad that some of you are joining us on closed television. I would like to ask if there are any here for the first time at a Residents Association meeting. If so, raise your hand. Are you new residents, and would you introduce yourself? So I'm way over here.
Sandra Still in 313.
Okay, welcome, Linda.
Patty Mabry, Villa 31.
Okay, Villa 31. Somebody asked me to bring you greetings, so if you would see me after we adjourn. One more. Okay. Okay, yes. Well, glad to have all of you here, and I hope you'll continue to come back. Okay. Well, welcome to all of you, and hope you will come back to our meetings that are regularly on the second Monday of every month. Brandon is speechless again today. That is, he said he had nothing to say. And so I will introduce Jim Bundy to introduce our program.
Thank you, Alan. Let me say again, as I did last time, it's really so great to see all of you residents here in the auditorium today. We've had lots of programs in the past where we might have had 15 to 25 people present, and to look around and see that the room is full, we really appreciate it. We also hope that there's a large number that are watching the program on 1341. And I wish to thank again this month Charlie Bryan for the technical assistance that he's giving in live streaming and as well as recording the program today. Remember that there are 3 ways that you can watch the Residents Association meeting. You can be present as you are today, which is the best way to do it, because that way you get to interact with your fellow residents here at Springmore. You get to be able to be a part of the discussion and ask questions at the end of the presentations. And of course, you also might win that door prize. You can also watch it on 1341 if you cannot come here. And the third way is it's also recorded, and within about 48 hours, it will be on the resident portal. For those of you who use the resident portal, which as I hope is most of you, you can go to that resident portal, click on videos, click on Residents Association meetings, and you will be able to see all of the meetings that were recorded for this year and all the meetings that were recorded for the last 2 years, because 2023 and 2022, their videos are also on the resident portal. We all came to Springmore for many and various reasons. The beautiful landscaping on the 42-acre campus that we have here, to be close to our children, the reputation of Springmore with 40 years in operation, recommendation from friends or maybe fellow church members who have moved to Springmore. Some of you have even had parents who were at Springmore. Any number of reasons brought us to Springmore, but one reason that is probably the most important reason for us being here is the fact that Springmore is a continuing care community. And it offers the various levels of care: independent and supportive living, memory care, assisted living, and skilled nursing. Now, last month, we focused on the health services available to Springmore residents in independent and supportive living. Today, we will focus on the Stewart Health Center and the services that are available to residents who are now living in one of the areas of the Stewart Health Center. We will also be addressing the changes that are now taking place in the Stewart Health Center as we move to the neighborhood concept of nursing care. The rules of the House are the same today as they were last month. We will request that you hold all of your questions until the end of the presentations, as there are going to be multiple presenters today as there was last month, and one of the presenters may be answering the question that you had in mind, but that presenter may be the second or the third or the fourth in line, so your question may be answered down the line. When we do open it up for questions, we will ask that you raise your hand, and once you're recognized, we will bring a microphone to you, because we want you to say your question very loudly so that everybody in the audience can hear it, as well as those who are on 1341. I officially introduced her last month, so I will not repeat that introduction. I will just start today's presentation by saying here is Jessica Pagan, the administrator of the Stewart Health Center, who will be our lead presenter for this afternoon. Jessica?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. First and foremost, I just wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you. Just the desire to learn more about the Stewart Health Center and services overall that are offered within the Health Center. We're very excited to be here with you today. Presenting along with myself, I have Debbie Savinsky, Director of Nursing, Byron and Laney, they're with Legacy Therapy Services, as well as Donna, who is with the business office, works in insurance here, and Amanda, she's with medical records. We recognize that previously there were two areas that we didn't discuss last month, and we really felt as though they were important to bring to you today. With our agenda today, we wanted to discuss the levels of care within the Stewart Health Center, what to expect when being admitted to the Stewart Health Center, healthcare services that you can expect, the future of the Stewart Health Center, therapy services, our insurance department, and long-term care insurance and shred services that's available to each and every one of you. We'll start off discussing the levels of care within the Stewart Health Center. As you all have probably heard that we're currently renovating or have experienced yourself, the first household that we're looking at developing that's currently underway is our assisted living area. We currently have assisted living within the health center, but it's not a defined or designated area. So the first household will be the assisted living. In assisted living, you can expect CNAs to provide hands-on assistance with activities of daily living, for example, bathing and dressing, and staff do administer medications in assisted living as well. We do have the skilled nursing area, which is a little bit more advanced. When care is to the level that around-the-clock medical care or attention is required from a nurse, and or physical capabilities require more than one person for mobility. So there are instances where with physical progression or medical progression, you do need more hands-on assistance, maybe some basic nursing care for wound care, medication management if you are diabetic with daily injections, maybe oxygen. Those are all areas that require nursing, which does require the skilled nursing unit. And then we do have our specialty area, which is our memory care unit, and that is in C-Wing. It's a supportive and nurturing environment for residents with memory loss that aims to enhance the quality of life while ensuring that safety and overall well-being is met. So those are the 3 levels that we do have in the Stewart Health Center to provide support to each and every one of you. So if you take a look at our independent living and supportive living, in supportive living last month we discussed that there's some not hands-on care, but they do provide prompting and encouragement. When it gets to the point that hands-on care is needed, that is where the assisted living area may be more appropriate. So I do hope that clears up the areas that are available here in the Stewart Health Center a little bit more. Debbie's going to join us and speak a little bit more about the nursing care within the health center and what to expect.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Debbie Savinsky, and I'm your Director of Nursing in the Health Center. And I want to thank each of you for coming out today. You could have done many other things, so thank you for making an effort, as Jessica said, to learn more about your health center. Also, I wanted to thank Mr. Bundy and also Mr. Page for looking at expanding our education in these areas to help us. So the first slide you see up there is just the fear of the unknown versus what to expect. And I think this is sometimes some of the things that we go through, some of those questions you can see. I am really proud of your health center. We have some really great staff members that are in every discipline. You're looking at anywhere from nursing, CNAs, secretaries, your dining staff, your housekeeping, the shift managers that handle all the scheduling. You've got our administrator. You've got Amanda that works in medical records. There are a host of people, I know I'm forgetting many of them, that we need to manage the health center. So I'm really proud of the group that you've had there right now to be able to help provide the best care we can for you. My purpose today really is just to provide some education about the health center so that it'll kind of dissipate some of the fear or some of the apprehension about coming into the health center. One of the dear residents here shared with me recently, she said, when I first moved to Springmore, I heard this comment, "Don't let them put you in the health center, you'll never get out." And that was a terrifying thing to her because at that particular time, she actually did need to come into the health center. So some of those things we want to dissipate and help bridge that gap is our next slide here. Bridging that gap between independent living and the health center. So with a raise of hands, can anyone tell me if you have spent a night in the health center? So few. How many have not even been in the health center much at all? So majority. So that can add to that fear we're talking about. You know, we're looking at colleges for one of my kiddos, and it's one of those things where it's helpful when you have the information, right? So it's the same with the health center. If you have more information, it arms you so that you're not as nervous, and then you have some answers, or at least you recognize people, you know who to ask. So let me see here. I guess I want to just comment on the commitment and the partnership too. But the commitment to you from Springmore is that we want to care for you. As Mr. Bundy said, it's a continuing care. So you can expect that Springmore is committed to you to take care of your health needs throughout the total time that you're here at Springmore. And with that, also, I want you to look at that word partnership. And that is meaning to come alongside us with your care as well. Because what you value and what is important to you is also our goal to help you. So it's helpful when you communicate those things to us so that we can provide the best care for you, so that we're on the same page and so that we can partner together. A couple of things or a couple of areas that I want to comment on about partnering together is just some ideas of when you know that you're going to need to come into the health center. One of the things that would be helpful is if you reach out to either the social worker or myself or Jessica, just to ask some questions if you have some concerns or questions already. Sometimes when you come into the health center, it's a surprise. Maybe you fell in your apartment. Maybe you got sick, maybe you have an infection, there's something going on that brought you into the health center, and that's typically what the situation is. But there are times when you've got a situation where you know ahead of time. For instance, if you know you're going to have an upcoming surgery, it would be helpful to go ahead, as one of the residents has recently, met with one of us so that we can help encourage and give that guidance and maybe answer some questions ahead of time so you're not as nervous and so that we can meet those needs for you. Another thing that you might want to do is talk to someone on your healthcare committee. There is a group of men and ladies from your peers that have a committee that are specifically looking to bridge that gap through the health center and the independent living. And that might be a way that you could also try to just answer those questions that you might have. You can also talk to some of your friends that may have been in the health center recently and have discharged. How did it go? What were your impressions? What could we do to help encourage and fix something? Or what was a really great experience you had? So some of those things would help bridge that gap so that it's not, this is independent, and this is the health center, and never the twain shall meet. So we want to make sure that this is all of Springmore. There are 191 beds in the health center. Today we have 108 of your fellow residents in the health center. So that represents approximately 18 to 20% of Springmore residents that are living in the health center. And as Mr. Bundy said, you all had many choices of where you wanted to go for retirement. And one of those reasons may have been that you know you have access to a really, really great health system here at Springmore with skilled facility. So that's not something to maybe dread or be afraid of, but something to embrace and learn more about, whether you ever need it or not. So just to have that partnership and to know we're committed to you as well. On this slide, you're going to look through. Let me see, I can hold on here, sorry. This is our health center services. So when you're in the health center, there are a lot of services. And again, I had to make this kind of brief, so we'll go over and we'll have an opportunity for questions at the end. But when you think of the health center, the first thing, of course, you think is nursing care. And you do have a great, stellar team of nurses and CNAs that are there around the clock to care for you. And I put down that ratio there just so you can kind of see. During a shift, a nurse would have approximately 15 residents, and a CNA would have about 8 residents to care for. And all of that to say, we are really well staffed at Springmore. So you should be encouraged to know, sometimes you might hear that phrase go through that, oh, they're really short today. That's actually not the case. We're actually well staffed. You're always going to have a call out here or there. But compared to other facilities, we are way above staffed, so we can meet your needs and make sure you have confidence that someone is there to help you. You're going to get a hot meal. You're going to be well cared for, so not to worry about that. We're well staffed. Medical. On an admission, you're always going to see Dr. Patel. There are a few that may have an outside provider that does have rights to come into the health center, but by far everyone sees Dr. Patel, and that is regulated by state regulations to see the physician. According to regulations, you need to be seen by the doctor in the first 30 days of your admission. So in a hospital, that's a little bit different because you're used to seeing a hospitalist every single day at your bedside, and you're used to maybe the specialist coming by and a therapist coming by. A lot of people, it's very busy. But in the health center, you're going to see the provider within 30 days. Springmore has real nice concierge medicine here, so we really want you to be able to see a physician within 5 days, 5 business days of being admitted into the health center. If something were to come up before then, of course, the nursing staff is right on it to ensure that you're well cared for. But just so you, again, know what to expect when you come into the health center, we've had some that will come in and say, it's been 3 days, I haven't been seen by anybody. And just so you're aware that that's actually the norm, and by regulations, that is, we are well in compliance of that, but just so you're aware of that. So you're going to be seen within the 5 days, the window time, and then the next time you would be seen would be 30 days from there, and that would be the nurse practitioner that would see you. If something else would to come up between that time, maybe you're battling with pain, maybe you have all of a sudden an infection or a cold symptoms, we would get you seen, of course. But just so you know, those are those set times that we're regulated that you would need to be seen by a provider. If you are still in the health center after those 30 days, you would be seen again by the doctor. So it's a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day visit, just so, again, so you're aware. We do have also psych services. This is a company that comes in called Team Health, and they partner with us. They are really good to give extra layer of support and help. And they have a nurse practitioner who specializes in psychiatry, and they also have a doctor who comes in who does psychotherapy as well. And those things are really helpful as we have different specialists. You think of a cardiologist or an ophthalmologist, and these are another specialist that we have that is an added level of help to work with us. We also have therapy services with Legacy, and you're going to be able to hear from them today, but they also offer physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy, and they're a really great support for us as well. And then we have our activity team. You know, we want to make sure that you have access to a lot of activities in the health center. You can choose to not go to any of them, or you can choose to be involved with them. But they have all kinds of things, from music and going out off the campus, and they do have music groups that come in. They have pet therapy that comes in. They have all kinds of games and bingo and music and different things to be able to encourage you throughout the day. So you're able to not just lie in that bed, but trying to get you up and active and things to do as well. We also have home care that's for some residents, and we have many that would like that more one-on-one care. If you look back at that ratio for nursing with the CNAs, if you look at an 8-hour window of time, and you cut down an hour for a meal and another hour for another meal and a few baths that you're helping residents with, you're looking at about 5 hours during the day that the CNA has time for hands-on care. And if you look at 8 hours or 8 residents, you're looking at about 40 minutes out of an 8-hour period of time. So some people are wanting more care, and that's when you would look at home care then to give that one-on-one experience if that's something that you would desire. And then the next thing is dietitian. We've got 3 here, and they go over your menu for you. They will go through diet issues that you might have or requests that you have, and they're also looking at your lab work and making sure that you've got enough protein and albumin and all those things in your system to make sure that you heal quickly. And then the last one there is volunteer services or other services. I didn't list them all, but we have a host of things. Dermatology, we've got our dentist, we've got all of those things to help along the way. A lot of people, again, to help Spring More. Okay, so this is a picture of a multiple of your staff in the health center. And I listed some of those names there for you to see. But we've got, again, a whole group of staff that's very dedicated to help you. Oh, so just so you're aware, a lot of staff. This is another picture of some of your residents here. And it's just really great to be able to see some of those staff members that have been here for years and years that are dedicated to you. This was actually a retirement party for the large picture on the left, the gentleman in the suit. He was here for over 25 years, one of the best CNAs I ever worked with. He would go the extra mile. He would help anyone. No light was on when he was working. So he only worked on weekends, but we will miss him greatly. But just so you're aware, you've got some really dedicated staff that's been here a long, long time. Here's some more that you might come across when you're in the health center. Okay, so when you're admitted to the health center, our goal is never, aha, I gotcha, we're not going to let you out. That's never our goal. So just so you're aware, our goal always is to help partner with you to get you better, to rehab you better, to be able to get you safely home. So that's always what they're looking at first. So when you are admitted, you're coming from the hospital or from the clinic, or a community call is the first step there. And then you're going to be seen by Dr. Battelle, as we discussed. And then you'll be seen by the nurse practitioner currently is Anne. And she's been really great, you guys. I have not heard anything negative at all. I've heard really good about her. So you can rest assured she's excellent care for you. But you would see her next. And then there is a formal care plan that is also set up for you to go over your particular case. And then there's also a discharge meeting. It's a meeting for interdiscipline that we discuss your case and look at what we can do to overcome any barriers that are there to try to get you home. Okay, and then this slide talks about, again, what to expect when you're admitted. So you can bring your own medicines. There's been questions about that before. You can bring your own, but it's only for a short time. We do have to get that medication from Medipack. We partner with them. They're a long-term care pharmacy, and that's, again, regulated. That's not a Springmore thing. We do have to go through that pharmacy or a long-term pharmacy, and we're currently partnered with Medipack, which, of course, you heard about last month, and they're the ones that are going to be setting up this pharmacy here on site, which is going to be a great addition to us as well. But just so you're aware of that, the medicines, once it's ordered, just like if you were to go down here to Walgreens and get Lasix, a medication, and you take 3 pills out of that and then you want to return it, they're not going to be able to take it, right? They can't credit you. It's the same here. I know those packages are kind of obnoxious. They're large, the big cards with the bubble things that you got to pop out. But that, again, is all regulated. So we're looking to see what we can do to make that easier. But for right now, that's kind of where we're at. So when you discharge, do take those back home with you, because I can't get those credited for you. There are times if there's like an inhaler that wasn't opened, I can sometimes return that, and I'll do my best to get those monies back to you. But typically, once pharmacy has sent those out, we can't get them back. So when you do come, don't bring any over-the-counter medicine like a calcium or an aspirin, a Tylenol. We can get all those things for you, but you can't bring them in. And then a narcotic also. So if you're coming from the hospital, say you had surgery and you're going to need some pain medication, don't get that filled on your way to Springmore. Let us handle that for you. Since that's a narcotic, we would have to get that from the pharmacy. Okay, and then also, I always have questions. Can I have a private room? Well, I would wish I could give everyone a private room because I look at it like, for my mom and dad, what would I want to do for each of you? If I have an option, of course, we're going to put you in a room where there's not anybody, but often that rehab floor is pretty busy. So if I have a room available, absolutely, I'll put you on the B bed, which would be the window bed, and you can have a nice view. But there could be Mr. Sam is coming in 2 days later, or Mrs. Jones is coming in the next day. So we will work with that. The social workers work really well, too, to try to make people compatible or help with that, too. If someone is blaring the TV and somebody doesn't want the TV, we're trying to work with that, too. So just so you're aware, but just, again, what to expect, you will probably have a roommate. What to bring, there's some items listed there, and then not to bring valuables or cash. And then your first go-to, anytime you go somewhere, there's going to be a hiccup. There's going to be a bump in the road. And again, that word commitment and partnership, we're looking to help you. So if there's something that's not right, you don't have to wait till the weekend or, on a Monday. If there's a problem on a Friday night, you've got a nurse supervisor around the clock. You've got your nurse on the floor. Jessica and I are very quick to respond to emails if we're needing any help with that. So you're not stranded. So don't feel like if there's a problem, maybe it'll work its way out. Talk to somebody so we can fix it for you. Sometimes it's a communications thing. Sometimes it's a misunderstanding, and we can get something fixed for you right away. We want you to be happy and comfortable, so make sure that you let somebody know as soon as you're able. The individual care plan, I'll just touch on this really quickly. This is, again, when you first come into the health center, this is, again, regulations, but you have a care plan started right away, but then there's a nurse that's assigned to it that starts tweaking it. They're looking through all the instructions that came from the hospital to review your medications, to review any of the instructions from your doctors, and they're looking through all that to assign it specifically for you. And then they'll build that for you. That is within day 14. So you may come here, 5 days later you discharge home. You would never even go to that meeting. But they will reach out to your family and to you and invite you to come to that meeting. And again, if there's issues going on, let us know before then. We don't want you to be struggling and frustrated for 2 weeks before we know about it. So if there's something going on, let us know. And then paired with that also is the discharge plan. And that is something that started right away on admission, that we have a discharge plan going already. And again, that's looking at what do you need to do to get better to get home? What barriers are we seeing? Sometimes you can look at it and say, ooh, it's going to be about a month. Sometimes you can say, ooh, they're doing pretty well, maybe a quick weekend and they'll be home. So you can kind of see that too, what you're looking at and what brought you in. But again, the goal is to try to get you back to independent living as soon as you're safely able to do that. And then we partner with you, your family. We're talking to you all along the way so that it's not a surprise if, wow, I'm just not getting better. I'm just not sure if I'm going to be able to do this and I might need more time. So just so you're aware about that. So we're always striving to work in the health center to make it better for you. So just in closing, so just to let you know again that if you want a tour of the health center, right now we're in construction, but we would love to show you the health center. Again, just to ease that apprehension or that trepidation of coming into the health center. If you'd like to see a room or you'd like to try out a bed, come on over. We had a gentleman recently saying his bed is the most comfortable one he's ever had, and he wanted it in his apartment. So we have a bunch if you need one. Just so you know, if Jessica and I are approachable, Brad and Brandon are here to support and help. If you need something, please let us know. And then just wanted to let you know, too, it is a privilege on behalf of all of Springmore and the Health Center. We thank you for letting us serve you.
Thank you, Debbie. So next we wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in the health center that is exciting with the renovations. It is exciting. I know for many it's been a lot of change with us as well, just trying to get acclimated to just the physical differences within the health center. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the change, understanding that it's not just a physical change. We're actually undergoing a culture change in the health center as well. And this actually started several years ago. For some of the newer residents, you may not have heard a presentation on the renovations, but back in 2021, Brad actually presented on this same topic here with the Resident Association. So it's nice to be able to come back around, provide the most current information as we're actually undergoing the physical renovations with the residents' areas. The future of the Stewart Health Center, it's going to look very different than it currently does. As Debbie was talking about, there's nurses, there's CNAs, there's housekeepers, there's a lot of different staff that do serve you. It's a lot of people that you do have to meet and get used to, and everybody has their roles. We're changing from more of the institutional model to the household model, which I'll talk about here in just a few minutes. But thinking of a traditional nursing home and what that looks like, it's more of an institution type concept. And that's what we're trying to get away from. With the institutional model, it's organized around the nurses' units or nurses' stations. There's typically between 30 and 60 residents per unit. Nursing staff are assigned to the community, and they're moved around as there's a need. There's large centralized dining and activities areas. The kitchens are off limits to all but the dietary staff. And there's a lot of upper management or leadership, and everything kind of trickles down. When you take a look at the household model, it's similar, but different, very different. All of the needs are being met. The quality is a little bit higher because of the way that your needs are met in the household model. There's smaller, more intimate areas. Between 16 and 24 residents are served in each household. Each household has a full kitchen with an open concept. Kitchens are stocked with items that the residents will enjoy, the residents within that household. You may live in one area and you prefer Raisin Bran every day for breakfast. Well, your kitchen will be stocked with that. Another resident in another area may prefer another type of cereal, and we'll make sure that or the different ice cream brands that they're stocked for them to enjoy there as well. Staff are assigned to the household more so than the community, so it's a little bit more intimate. You get to know your staff a little better. We're already trying to do that, but with the physical transformation, it will be much easier. We've partnered with Action Pact as the experts with this transformation to the household model. Action Pact has actually been a consultant that's been hired for over 1,000 communities in the United States and has transformed from the institutional model to the household model. On the left-hand side, you'll see the book, In Pursuit of the Sunbeam. It's a practical guide to transformation from the institutional to the household model. And this is actually a book that is written by Action Pact, and we've all read the book. I wanted to share that we do have 2 copies in the library for those that may want to learn a little bit more about the household model and what that looks like. And of course, I'd be available to answer any additional questions that you all have pertaining to that. But we do have a picture here of a rendering of the area that's right outside the old clinic. I don't know if you all remember before it was closed off, but the elevator that was right outside the old outpatient clinic and what that area looked like. But this is what the new area is going to look like later this year when it opens up late summer. So you can see that it's a lot brighter. Just a little bit more open and inviting and a little more home-like. With the household model, just try to imagine several households, each with their own kitchen, common area, and residence. There's several households within the neighborhood. So if you look at the Stewart Health Center, after the renovations are completed, there will be 7 smaller areas within the health center, and those areas will be a little bit more intimate, much more comfortable, and more home-like. Medications will be administered similar to how they currently are at your home. If you think of how you take medications, oftentimes it's when you wake up in the morning, before you go to bed at night, around lunchtime, not 8 and 8 and 7 and 7. You really cater them to what your preferences are, and that's what we're looking at doing in the health center as well, is just making it more home-like. All of the staff in the household are dedicated to their household. So instead of assigning staff to the community, we would be assigning them to Clayton Wing or C Wing or the assisted living area. And the staff within that household, they would know the routine and the day-to-day operations. We would also be cross-training the staff, and we've already started doing this as well. So in between meals, whoever's working in the kitchen, they may also help support with activities or additional things that may need to be done in the household just to ensure that the quality is enhanced for all of the residents. So some of the roles will be different and some will be combined, but at the end of the day, we just want to ensure that all of the care is met and that the quality is improved. With this rendering here, this is actually, again, the current area that is being renovated. This is the assisted living, dining room, and common area. Again, going back to the open concept, if you look at the kitchen area, you can see the refrigerator, you can see where the food is going to be. You're going to be able to smell the food. It's not going to be separate. We'll have a lot of the items that you do in your current house and your current kitchen. So if you think you wake up in the morning and you might like to have a waffle instead of eggs and bacon, they'll be able to make that for you in the smaller type kitchen. They'll be using crock pots and additional things that, again, we all would do in our own home, just to make it a little bit more inviting for the residents. Again, looking at culture change, this is much more than just remodeling. I know oftentimes we hear about the physical changes and what's going on behind the wall. But again, there's a lot that is going into this. There's a lot of staff training. We want to be fully prepared to transition to a more intimate type of care and less institutionalized. There'll be more of a true or literal team concept using the household model, a different thought process to achieve positive outcomes for residents, a different way of providing care, and reinventing the daily activities within the household. With this rendering here, this is going to be upstairs in the second floor dining room. And again, you can see that it looks very different than the current dining room in the health center. It's much more inviting, and I believe that it's going to make a true difference and a good impact to everyone. Next, I'd like to present Lainey, and Lainey and Byron are going to be talking a little bit more about the therapy services within the health center.
Which one is it? This one? Yes, the right one. Thank you. Oh, man. I should have worn my heels again today. I didn't. I was smart last time. Can y'all hear me? Yes. Wonderful, thank you. My name's Lainey Sharizia. I'm an occupational therapist. I've been an occupational therapist for 20 years and been with Legacy Healthcare Services for 10, and Springmore was one of the original communities that I began practicing with Legacy. So I'm so thankful to be a part of your community, and thank you for welcoming us back year after year. I'd also like to introduce you to Byron Moore. He is our rehab director for the health center. Traditionally, we've had one rehab director who would serve your IL and AL community. And as we become more ingrained in the culture in the community, we really felt it was imperative to have someone dedicated to the health center who would really be able to know and identify what was going on with each resident and communicate with Jessica and Debbie in a very intimate level. So let me introduce you to Byron really quickly, and then we can go through the slides.
Hello, how are you all doing? Again, it's nice to see some familiar faces in here. I have been here since September. Joined Legacy. I've been doing therapy for almost 10 years at this point. But I saw the opportunity to work with Legacy and come to this community, and I really wanted to have a chance to just express and share my knowledge with therapists. I feel like I have something to share. So that's why I took on this role. I've been growing into it. And I appreciate a lot of you all who I've expressed that to on a personal level, just kind of working with me and accepting me with open and welcoming arms. But what I would like to do with Legacy and here at Springmore, again, is just like Debbie and everyone else says, just really develop a partnership with all the residents, let you know that we are here for you. The health center is not a place where you will fall into an abyss of any sort. But it's a place to come and just to recover, to take some time to get back to the levels that you were at, and also to probably learn some ways to better help and take care of yourself from a therapy standpoint. Our new office is just down here at the opening, so I know some of you have also had it taken some time to come through and look at the facility. it's definitely open for all of you to come by and check it out. And at any time, if you have any questions, please feel free to stop me in the hallway. Again, my name is Byron, and it's just glad to be here. Thank you.
If you stop in, he might make you do a cartwheel or a jumping jack, so watch out. Sorry. So at Legacy, our why is to empower our senior adults to lead a life filled with purpose, safety, and joy, whether you're in IL or whether you're in the health center. The last time we met several weeks ago, it didn't move. There we go. The last time we met, Sue opened with a joke about having broken a gentleman breaking his arm in 2 places, and the physician's response was, "Don't go back to those 2 places." I have actually broken my arm in 3 places last year and found myself in need of therapy. And it was really, really wonderful to know what to ask and how to navigate the system. So I think that's some of our hope for you guys today, is to just be able to empower you with some knowledge and to know what questions to ask. What should I expect? And we'll knock on some wood if I ever break my arm in 3 places and should be in a place where I want some more information. The health center is an environment of professional collaboration so that we can best care for you. And as Debbie said, our goal is not to have you and hold you forever. It's to love and nurture you and send you back to your home, whether that be IL, whether it be a supportive living apartment. We don't want you to stay in the health center forever and always if you don't have to, because, then we wouldn't be able to welcome someone else back in. So what does the therapy process look like when you come in? Well, we require an order from a physician. That's the same as if we were treating you on IL. The big key, if you take nothing else away from this today, is that we do need a consent form signed. That comes to you electronically via email, or if you have a loved one who's acting as your power attorney, we can set that up with your loved one to go right to them and have them sign that before you ever come back. That seems to be one of those sticky spots for us, is if we have someone who comes in, needs to be seen immediately, I need to make sure that I have a medical consent form signed so that we can actually medically treat you. And Sue has been really wonderful at working with our community outreach specialists to maybe bridge that gap a little bit. If you're at the hospital and you know you're coming back, trying to get those forms out to you sooner so that we're not waiting on a piece of paperwork, if you will. The next piece of the puzzle is to have your actual evaluation done. That's where the cartwheels and jumping jacks come in. We would look to see if physical therapy, occupational therapy, or speech therapy are indicated. Sometimes it's just one discipline, sometimes it's all 3. Oftentimes, we do an evaluation to create a baseline and establish, is there anything that you need to do to be able to go home? Hopefully, having that consent form signed will facilitate us being able to see you within the first 24 hours that you're in the health center. Oftentimes you're in the health center because you need therapy. There's a piece of the puzzle that we really need to get working on, and you're not wanting to sit around and wait for one of us to show up. And Debbie and I did not compare slides, but the last piece of the puzzle is that comprehensive interdisciplinary team discharge approach to optimize your success from the start. Discharge starts upon admission, and we really want to make sure that we are meeting your needs and not just assuming that we know what those are. So, what does a therapy evaluation entail? Has anyone had a therapy eval? Wonderful. There are a few pieces of the puzzle that we have to complete right from the get-go. A medical record review. We'd like to know what's going on with you, whether it be a past medical history or a recent hospitalization. A chart review is something that's part of our eval. Also speaking to you and your family members about your perception of what's going on and your perception of what you need from this experience in the health center. Have you had a fall and broken your arm in 3 places? Have you had a medical complexity? Do you have an infection? Or are you finding yourself not being able to complete your daily tasks as you were before? Once we move past the interview and the medical record review, we're going to get into that hands-on process of figuring out what your current level of function is and administering some of those standardized tests that we spoke about the last time. A lot of the standardized tests is interview. It is also get up and move, and let's see, how do your arms work? How do your legs work? How strong are you? What does your balance look like? We probably will ask you those 20 questions on the slum to really get that baseline presentation of what you're like in the health center. And hopefully we have a baseline from where you were in IL so that we know where you need to go and what your journey needs to look like. Once we've done those standardized tests and got the interview done, I'm then going to sort of turn the ball back to you and ask, what do you want out of therapy? What are your goals? Do you need to be able to walk up 2 or 3 steps? Do you need to be able to walk 200 feet? Do you just need to be able to get dressed to get in the kitchen in the morning? What is it that you want out of therapy? And what do we need to do to get you back to your apartment or your home or your villa? And then there comes the fun part. How often do we need to see you? Depending on what your goals are and what your standardized tests look like, we will then determine with the physician what our plan of care looks like. How often do we need to see you? How frequently do we need to see you, and for how long? Treatment. What can you expect? Well, some of our treatments are very textbook, and some things may look a little bit more out of the box, but that is designed to give you an individual experience so that, again, you can get home as quickly as you can. A lot of the things that we'll work on straight out of the gate are safety. You will hear that word over and over and over again. We want to ensure that you're safe in your environment and continue to be. Independence. Again, our ultimate goal as therapists is to have you be as independent as possible. We also want you to be functional. If we're not doing something that's meaningful and functional to you, then what are we doing? So that's where your input into your plan of care is priceless, so that we know what we're doing is meaningful to you. So some of that looks like activities of daily living, dressing, bathing, instrumental activities of daily living, or IADLs, cooking, pet care. I know I wouldn't be able to function if I couldn't care for my dog, so that would be part of my plan of care for sure. My kids, another story. Dog, definitely. Strengthening, endurance, range of motion, activity tolerance, and also energy conservation. After we've had an episode in the hospital or a little bit of a downtime, being able to conserve your energy is one of those things that, life, you want to go faster and faster and faster, and sometimes life slows you down, and you really need to be able to know how to compensate for that. And then we also have our speech therapy modalities or interventions, which look like swallowing or dysphagia, cognition, language difficulties. So we have a whole gamut of services that we can offer in interventions. We also would love to involve your family if that's something that you're interested in. Really having that village to be able to care for you, whether it be a son, daughter, nephew, niece, sister, brother, a spouse, being able to include them in your plan of care is also very helpful and creates some buy-in for you and your loved ones. Treatment can definitely take place in our newly renovated gym. Byron let you know where that was. It's very, very clean and pretty right now. Swing by, check it out. We also do like to go to your apartment or what your natural environment is, so we know how you function and what we need to do to help you. Is your bed low or really high? Those are things that we take into consideration when we're cooking up your treatment plan and getting you through the therapy process. And then once we have really gotten you to a point where progress has ceased, we feel like you're safe to go home, we're going to continue to reassess those standardized tests to make sure you're at a baseline that is comfortable for you and your loved one to feel safe to go back to independent living. And that looks like therapists, nurses, that whole IDT team, social workers, talking about what your needs are, where you are functionally, and what's the best plan for you. Family Link portal, speaking of communicating with family, this is one of those things that people either love or hate. It's a technology thing. So it is designed to be able to keep your family in the loop of what you're doing in therapy during your stay at the health center. I know when my dad calls me, he often asks me 25 questions about how my day was, and that's a lot for me sometimes. I would love to be able to give him the Cliff Notes version like you see on the screen here. So very often, you and your therapist can decide, what would you like to put in the family link? What is my brother, sister, son, daughter, husband, wife, spouse going to call and ask me about? We can then take a picture of something that you're doing in therapy, send a quick note, and then your family member can come into this portal, look and see what you've done, and then you don't have to do the 20 questions. It's pretty cool. It is a piece of technology, though, that you have to navigate. It did win a fancy McKnight's Tech Award a few years ago. That was something that Legacy kind of birthed, if you will, and it was a really cool moment to see it win an acknowledgement from McKnight's. In the handout that you received today, there's a little bit more in-depth offering on the Family Link. All right, I'm getting to the end. Discharge planning and follow-up. Why do we plan from discharge from the start? I think Debbie and I have both touched on this. It's just to make sure you get the most out of your experience. We are so proud and so thankful that you've chosen us here at Springmore and with Legacy to help you through this journey. It's a very trepidous time when your health has been compromised and that when you're depending on someone else to assist you to get back. So we want to make sure that the plan that we have in place is the plan that you want in place. We're ensuring that goals are aligning with your functional needs once you're home. We'd like to make sure that any equipment you may need is aligned ahead of time so that you're not going a spans without it, because that would potentially be problematic if you needed a walker or a wheelchair. Completing a home assessment. I don't know if anyone's had the pleasure of Caitlin on a home assessment, but it's really our intention to look at your environment and ensure that all of the puzzle pieces are in the right place for you to be successful once you walk through the door of your home. There wouldn't be anything fun about walking through the door and saying, oops, we forgot this. So it's really intended to just close that communication loop and ensure that we have a great plan. And then following up after you leave the health center. We're very excited that you're going home, and we want to ensure that you continue to stay safe. So 9 times out of 10, we will probably knock on your door a day or two after you've left the health center. We may already know ahead of time that you're going to have continued outpatient orders after you go home. That's great. We'll still knock on your door. But our intention is to ensure that we have, in fact, created a wonderful plan for you to be safe and confident in your own home. Confidence is one of those things that is a fall preventer, and we want to make sure that you're confident in your environment. So we will knock on your door, we will ask you how you're doing, just to be sure that you're safe. And then maybe in 3 months, we also will call and say hello. It's been nice to not see you in the health center again because you had such a great plan. That's it. Thank you so much. And now we've got Donna from insurance.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, well, I'll get a little closer. How about now? Better? Okay, so most of you know, or at least a lot of you know me. I'm Donna McGee. I work in the insurance department here at Springmore, but I have recently been told that not everybody knows what I do. So I want to make sure that I get up here and let you know. It's not just for the health center, though. I'm one of those weird ones. I am completely across the board. If you need a little bit of help with your, or want a little bit of help with your insurance, I am available. So what I do is I act as an advocate between your insurance carrier and your providers. So what that means is when you get a bill from your provider, you can come to me with that bill, or just even stick that bill in the mail if you want to. And I will double check it to make sure it has been approved by Medicare and your secondary, or if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, I will double check that as well. Usually what I do is just double checking. It's just making sure that you feel confident about what you're looking at. We are a voluntary department. You do not have to use our services if you don't want to, but we are also a no-cost department. So it's not going to cost you anything extra just to have an extra set of eyes on your account if that's something you want. So really quick, the information here, it says we're going to track all your medical bills just to make sure they're submitted correctly with the correct codes on there to make sure they're not denied. We make sure that we go to all of them, whether you have one or we have some people that have 3 different insurance companies that actually have to go through each one. We also follow up with all the carriers and providers on your behalf, making sure that they have your numbers the way they're supposed to have, the correct numbers. And at the end of the year, we can also, if you use us exclusively, if you use us all the time, we can actually provide an out-of-pocket medical expense report for tax purposes. The big takeaway here is you would have to give us your bills as well as your explanation of benefits from your insurance carrier, whether it is Medicare and a supplement or an Advantage plan. Everything that you get every month, you just hand that in to me. We're just going to double check it. If anything happens, if you have any questions, you can always come to me, and I will work very hard to try to make sure every answer is given. And that's really all. So the next person we're going to talk to is Amanda Wetzel.
Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me? Good. My name is Amanda. I've been working at Springmore for about 15 years in medical records. I've also been in charge of the long-term insurance and the shred services we have here at Springmore. Just by a show of hands, can anybody tell me that who has a long-term insurance policy? Oh, look at all of you. This is exciting. And then how many of you have boxes just collecting paperwork that you don't know what to do with? Oh, lots of you. So I'm your go-to girl. I'm here to help you with all of your long-term insurance needs as far as filing, understanding your policy, just anything in general that you would need for that. A big thing I'd like to talk about with long-term insurance is the financial coverage that it provides for you. It just kind of helps so that you don't deplete those savings that you've worked so hard to build. And it really gives your family a peace of mind knowing that you have that type of reimbursement coming in so that it's not coming out of their pockets as well. As far as shred services go, we do charge, unfortunately. It's $10 per box. Anytime that you need to do something, you just need to call to let us know. If you are unable to bring your belongings to the health center, we can get security to come pick that up for you. You can do it in 3 ways. You can charge it to your Springmore account. You can write me a beautiful check, or you can give me cash. Everybody likes to give cash, right? I think so. I think I do, at least. But that's really all I have. What do I do? Oh, but thank you for your time.
as you all can tell, there's definitely a lot of information that was shared today. And the one key takeaway that I do want you all to know is the biggest thing is communication. At the end of the day, the Stewart Health Center is not the scary place that many have said it is. It really is a very inviting and comfortable place and a resource for each and every one of you. We have so much that we can offer to help to support you, whether in independent living or within the Stewart Health Center. And we really just want to increase communication and awareness to hopefully alleviate some fears and anxieties. And just know that we're here for you. Please feel free to reach out anytime that you have questions or concerns, or if there's anything that you'd like some more information on. One of the things that we do like to talk about is how you can get involved with the health center. At the end of the day, we do have a wonderful auxiliary. It's a support to the residents within the health center, and the auxiliary is comprised of residents from independent living, and they help support in a variety of different areas. So I did want to invite each of you to attend the auxiliary fair that's going to be held on March the 21st at 3 o'clock. And you can come and learn about volunteer opportunities within the auxiliary if you have any strengths that you'd like to share to help to get involved. The more that you're involved with the health center, the more that you're going to learn about the health center, and the more comfortable you will be if you or any of your friends ever have an opportunity to come there. So please take the time to come on March the 21st to learn about volunteer opportunities with the auxiliary and how you can get involved at the health center. I wanted to talk about the handout that you all have today. The first 8 pages of the handout is actually the welcome packet that we provide to residents and their loved ones when someone is admitted to the health center. It's just information on random questions that people do have, the frequently asked questions. Who do I contact about certain things? All of that information is in your handout here. There is the legacy handout regarding Family Link and what that is. We have a handout from Donna with the insurance department on what services and support they provide. We also have the copy of The Pursuit of the Sunbeam, the book that's available in the library. That's included in your handout as well. And the auxiliary fair flyer. You'll be able to review that at a later date if you'd like, as well as contact information. I remember last month you all asked if you had that. So you do have everyone's contact information that was presenting today, as well as a list of the presenters from the last presentation in January. So please feel free to reach out to any of us if you have any questions or comments, or again, if you'd like to just meet and talk about what to expect, what the experience is like, meet some of the staff, do a tour. We'd be more than willing to share that with all of you. All right. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity today, and now we will open it up for any questions that you may have.
I'm Harry Holiday. I would like to hear a little about the rundown of the numbers. It sounded like there's 20% of the people in the center now, and it sounded like the household model style came up to something like 85. So that's what I gathered. So clarify whatever the real count is.
So what we're taking a look at is with transitioning from the institutional model to the household model. The same number of residents will be served, just in smaller type of environments. We're actually increasing how many kitchens we have in the community. We will be offering private rooms in the assisted living area. So what we're looking at is the first area, assisted living, will be 18 15 private rooms. We would be willing to take a look at if couples were to come into the assisted living, of course, accommodating those together. Each private room will have a private bathroom as well, with a shower, which will be nice. But all of the residents will continue to be served up to the 191 occupancy. Absolutely. Any other questions?
Yes, I just found out about Donna's services and I'm really thrilled. And I wanted to know, was Amanda's service about the same thing for long-term care when we had to use that?
It is, absolutely. She helps with navigating the paperwork because she's been doing it. She's become our on-site expert, if you will, with the navigation of that paperwork. Any other questions?
Could you speak to the medication issues when you come home from the hospital? Like I came home with 6 or 7 and you say throw them out. If we're up there, you got your own later. I mean, is that practical? I mean, do you really have access to those blister packs? Or is that going to take a week or 2 to get them?
So can you clarify again, what are you asking about the packets? Say again?
No, that was not my question.
I'm so sorry. Can you?
The question is, when you come home from the hospital, you come home with a bunch of medications and you say, don't get them. And
No, do get your medicines. when
but you can't take them to the healthcare center, right?
You can take your medications if they're in a prescription bottle. Just if you go to Walgreens or CVS or wherever you're getting your medicines, your medication would be in a bottle. You can bring those into the health center. It just can't be a over-the-counter medicine because that wouldn't have a prescription label on it, and you can't have a narcotic. But we can get those for you.
Okay.
But
No,
it can't.
That's what you get when you come home from the hospital, so thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have another follow-up kind of to that. If you have medicines that you need, like diabetic medicine, cholesterol medicine, that has nothing to do with maybe while you're in the hospital, and you have an ongoing prescription for that, that has a bottle, at least until you fill up, have all that medication until you have an empty bottle. Can you take that to you said a few days or something, and I didn't understand.
Yeah, so let's say you tonight needed to come into the health center. You would gather any of your medicines that you have in your medicine cabinet. Sometimes people have a cartridge that has a Sunday through Saturday, and they individually put their pills in. We can't take those in. It has to be in a prescription bottle with your name and the medication on the bottle and how you're taking it. So we would go by, that medication bottle that you have, and that's coming from the directions from your physician.
Until you emptied that bottle, if you stayed, say, a couple of weeks, you could empty that bottle that you brought in before they reorder, say.
Yes.
Sometimes maybe you're only there a week, and maybe you have a bottle that's 90 days.
Yes. So with the regulations, we're only supposed to accept them in for 30 days. So if you have a bottle with 90 days, we can work with that. But it is a 30-day limit. So typically what happens is your orders get sent to the pharmacy immediately, and they send them to us immediately.
That's what I was wondering about the duplicate, if I had a 90 or a 30-day, and you sent it in, and they give me a 30-day, then I got more pills than I maybe need, because I got a couple of 90 or a 90-day.
Yes, that's a good comment, and we can look into that. Yes, ma'am.
I would appreciate
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
One more question, Joe.
Okay, Joe Polonis, you mentioned the idea of prescription medications, but there are also medications that a doctor might prescribe which are over the counter, particularly magnesium, because if you're taking a PPI, that can cause deficiency in magnesium, and therefore magnesium, which is not a prescription item, still must be taken. So how are those items handled?
Yes, that's a great question. We will get that medication for you, that magnesium for you. We just can't accept over-the-counter medication, but that would get sent to Medipack, and they would send that immediately to us. So you would still take your medication, but we just can't have it in a over-the-counter bottle. And again, this is regulated by our great healthcare.
Thank you all for the time again, and thank you for the questions that each of you have had. I do ask if you have any additional questions. I'll be available after this if you'd like to ask them, or you can email Debbie or myself at any time, and we'll be sure to get the information right over to you. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Jessica, and to your staff for the very informative program that you've given to us today and also last month. Next month's program will be the semi-annual business meeting. And I know when you hear the words business meeting, you probably have one thought: boring. But that's not the case here at Springmore, because our business meetings are different. The presenter next month will be the Executive Director, Brendan Hare, who will be making his annual State of Springmore address. You were given the opportunity recently to submit some questions or comments to the Management Advisory Committee. We hope that you took advantage of that, and these will be discussed at the next meeting. We hope there will be another big crowd in the auditorium and watching on 1341 next month, and that meeting will be on Monday, March the 11th at 3 o'clock. Okay, Alan, let's do some door prizes.
Door prizes. Will you pull a ticket? The winning number is 7735973. 7735973. And will you pull? We trust you. Completely trust you. And this winning number is 1480698. One 1480698. Anybody have that number? You have to be present to win?
Do it again.
One 1480694. Okay. Thank you all for coming. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone, and we'll see you next month.